Thank you so much for listening and joining in on the Small Group Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share. We would love for you also to send our podcast to a friend. Our goal is to grow and learn as individuals, also to be a help and encouragement to others in journeys of faith and in matters of faith as we talk with one another and learn from you. So please let us know how we can serve better. And again, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
Never trust anyone with the only flashlight. This is Small Group. I'm Benjamin.
I'm Lacey.
And we're so excited to have back Lauren Morgan.
Hello.
And friend. And Matthew Morgan. Good to have you guys back.
Great to be here.
Yes, thank you.
And we are, by the way, I didn't do this last time, but shout out to, as I get to it, we are expecting to have Taylor and Sabrina back soon with an update. They are back, but we're going to give them a little time off to get reacclimated back from their mission trip in Guatemala. But we will be getting an update on that mission trip here real soon. We're really excited to hear about that. I know Sabrina worked really hard, and Taylor was there too. And all the photos I saw was Sabrina working, and Taylor not so much. So we'll have to figure that one out. But Panama City Beach, of course, you guys are leading the way. Northport, Alabama, coming in hot this week. Ashburn, Virginia, our home away from home. We have a huge following in Ashburn, Virginia.
Okay.
We can't figure out who, because we found out Taylor, Sabrina, they don't have family there. We don't. So, but we have a natural family up in Ashburn. They are loyal. New Orleans, Mobile, Lynn Haven, Boardman, Oregon, San Diego, California, and Portland, Oregon. Oregon's getting hot on the listens this week. We thank you guys for joining us, not just there, but all over. All the ones that are now popping up in Guatemala. Thank you, Taylor and Sabrina. We're so happy you guys joined us again. And like I said earlier, Matthew and Lauren, great to have you guys back. But we will turn it over.
Jingle bell, jingle yay, jingle good for you. All right. So today's icebreaker question is, what is a movie that everyone should see at least once in their lifetime?
Okay, so this is a movie that I've seen twice, and it came out in the last couple of years. It's called Conclave. It is about the choosing of the new pope, and it is fascinating. There's so much drama just among the people that are choosing the pope, but also the spiritual truths that are spoken. Like, I don't know that I've ever stopped a movie to write down a quote before. That's just really not the type of person that I am. But I have two quotes that I stopped the movie for to write down. And so really highly recommend this movie.
Okay.
What are the quotes?
Well, I can get my notes out. I can read them if you want.
I'm curious now.
That's a pretty serious movie, and mine's a pretty serious movie. My favorite movie, but also I think it's worthwhile for anybody to see, is a movie called Life is Beautiful. It's a foreign film, but it was like up for an Oscar, for Best Picture a few years ago. Actually, like in the 90s. But it's a World War II Holocaust movie, so it's pretty serious. But it's actually like a comedy.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's really good.
It's like a Death of Stalin kind of thing.
No, it's a dad and a kid, and so the dad is trying to like keep it light.
Wow.
Like keep this heavy,
I get nervous
awful
about
atrocity.
Holocaust movies.
Right?
But
Yeah.
that one sounds like
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's been my favorite movie for 20 plus years.
Wow.
Okay. Huh. I know yours.
Do you?
Yes.
You go ahead.
I don't know. I love how I posed the question, but that I'm really struggling with the answer because my answers are dumb, but either Independence Day,
Oh, yeah.
just because it's a fun movie and it just
Okay.
makes me happy.
Okay, so I was thinking, I bet it's the second one. Armageddon.
No.
So that's
no,
where I thought you were going.
No, that's one of my favorite movies, but no. Dark Knight.
Oh,
Okay.
Dark Knight
That's
is one
a
of the
great
best
movie.
movies that has ever been made, in my opinion. But I don't know, just Independence Day, I just have a soft spot. It's just nostalgia, fun. I don't know. I love Will Smith in it.
Yes.
It's such a quotable movie. It's fun. It's just I love it. So yeah,
I really thought it was going to be Armageddon. Well, the correct answer was
Indiana Jones.
In the Last Crusade.
Okay.
It is the pinnacle of filmmaking,
Okay.
especially the end. And you were talking about like spiritual truths. I feel like there's so much there at the end where you have so it's the Last Crusade. They're going after the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And you have to pass those challenges to get to the Holy Grail. Only the penitent shall pass. Jehovah begins with an I in Latin, and then a leap from the lion's head. But then when you get in there and they choose the cup, just even the writing, to me, there's so much there to unpack. When you talk about humility or whatever, because the bad Nazi guy comes in and he like, this is the cup of King of Kings, and it's all blinged out and everything, and
Yeah.
I'm going to read too much into it, but anyway, it's also why our dog's name is Indiana, because of that movie. And then Indy picks up the cup that you don't even know is there until he touches it. There's so much there that just I love. Plus Sean Connery. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We named the dog Indiana.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, okay. Hang on. Follow-up question. If you had to pick a Lord of the Rings movie, which of the three? There is a right answer.
My favorite is the third one,
Okay.
but if you had to pick just one, I'd say the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
I just need the Battle of Helm's Deep. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, no, Two Towers is my
so
favorite.
you're going the second one. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't watched them recently enough to make a decision about that. I don't know. I read the first one and then got halfway through the second one, and then they were walking for forever in the second one, and I was like, I did not finish.
Somebody call an eagle already, man.
Well,
It's a Mordor.
the third one I could watch over and over again if they would take the spider out.
Yeah.
Mm.
I have accidentally seen the spider once, but like even I don't see I will not watch the spider part the whole time. Like I saw it in theaters. I was up under a blanket the whole time. And I saw it like 4 times in theaters.
Oh,
I had a problem.
My goodness.
She's a big Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. The moment Lauren's been waiting for. Tonight's
Yes.
topic, the Sabbath. And I'll turn it over to Lauren.
Well, I love the Sabbath. Love it. My love of the Sabbath came after I read this book called The Sabbath.
Spoiler alert.
It is the author is Abraham Heschel. He is Jewish, and the depth and understanding that he has of the Sabbath was so far beyond what I knew. I thought the Sabbath was something that used to be commanded. Now we don't have to do it anymore. And the end.
Yeah.
That's basically
Yeah.
what I was taught growing up. And it is so much more beautiful than that.
Mm.
And so after reading that book, I went to Matthew and said, we've got to start doing the Sabbath. It sounds amazing. Why haven't we been doing the Sabbath? Everybody should be doing the Sabbath. And so that started us on a journey 5 years ago. And it has, as we've done the Sabbath, it has grown and changed to, each year that goes by, we try to do it a little bit better, and we are not doing it properly. I don't think. Not that there isn't some really great things that come from it, but some things I wish that we would do is turn all the screens off for a significant amount of time, and it's hard because we have teenagers to get the buy-in for why we should turn all the screens off for several hours. But we'll get there.
So what does your practice look like?
Okay, so our Sabbath is from Friday night till Saturday night. And, we try not to be super legalistic about it, but the main tenets are we try not to do any chores at all. So whatever chores need to be done, they need to be done Friday afternoon. And then if they don't get done, they don't get done. And there's maybe dirty clothes and dirty dishes, and you just try to leave it alone. We also, on Friday night, shut all of our blackout curtains, turn all the alarms off, turn all our phones off, and we just try to sleep as long as possible. And I'm a sort of person that needs a lot of sleep, and it is common for me to sleep 11, 12 hours on a Friday night.
I love it.
It's so good. I get so excited for Sabbath sleep. It's my favorite. And then also we have this other rhythm where we take turns picking. So each week it changes, but somebody gets to pick a restaurant for us to go eat as a family. So we all go to dinner together as a family. And then someone gets to pick an activity for us to do as a family. And it can't take the whole day because, we're all trying to do the Sabbath, and the Sabbath looks different. For me, it's to stay home all day and do creative, fun art projects, and for Matthew and Will, they want to get out of the house at some point during the day and go do something active. So, so someone gets to pick an activity and someone gets to pick a restaurant.
So when you think Sabbath, you think, not work. So the key there is doing something that doesn't feel like work is what it sounds like.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You're trying not to do something that is, Abraham Heschel says that you should try not to be productive on the Sabbath in any sort of way. You should
Challenge accepted.
You should rest. And I do want to add that we try to spend time with God on the Sabbath. Obviously, that's the whole point, whether that's taking a walk and just being in nature, or it's, spending time in meditation and silence, being in the Word. It's just, trying to have the slowest, most enjoyable day that you can. Yeah.
And it's great. And we love it. Sometimes our kids push back a little bit because we do try to, hey, we're going to do something together as a family, and teenagers are like,
Yeah.
But yeah, when I wake up on Saturday morning, I just try to say, all right, I'm trying to drop everything that's giving me stress.
Yeah.
Say, I'm just going to enjoy this day and the gifts that God has given me.
Have any questions or any topics you would like us to discuss, or just have comments about anything we discuss here at Small Group, then please email us at goat.bear.lobster@gmail.com. You can also reach us at our website, smallgrouppodcast.wordpress.com. Find more on how to reach us in the podcast description.
And that's doing it together as a family. I think it's got to be key.
Yeah.
Because if, one person is trying to, like in our situation with a 3-year-old, if I'm just going to lay back and sleep all day,
Right.
And let her, we all have to be on the same page, as far as preparation and into preparation too. You talked about the chores and stuff. Do you guys do the whole food, like set up your food for Saturday, or how do you do that?
No, we don't go that far, but we don't cook.
Mm.
I mean, I might make cinnamon rolls for the kids, just
Canned
yes. Cinnamon rolls, But what you said about just the doing it communally, that's been really important, and also maybe one of the biggest challenges of it, because it requires sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
It requires you to say, "Hey, I'm going to embrace this activity that, Reese wants to do, our daughter, what she wants to do this time, even though it might not be something that I want to do, but I love Reese, and so I'm going to embrace.
So, and I know you kind of mentioned a little bit, what are some of the benefits that you've seen from doing it, and especially so intentionally?
Well, so my Enneagram is the Enneagram 1, and 1s are usually very productive. And so for most of my life, I was trying to be the most productive person I could in a day, and I would stuff it full until I'm exhausted at night. And I would expect Matthew to do the same, and he did not want to do that. He did not want to stay up late painting, or, I'm trying to renovate the house, and I'm trying to drag him into doing some sort of project. And he, it's Saturday, and he wants to rest. He wants to read a book. And I'm like, how dare you? We've got stuff to do. And so I've lived that life. I've lived the life where you're just constantly with the to-do list, and I'm just trying to I'm just trying to check as many boxes as I can.
Yeah.
It is exhausting. It's exhausting. And so the huge benefit I've seen is it has decreased the amount of stress in my life. It has given me time to recharge. But doing that, you have to say no to some stuff, and you have to accept that things are not going to get done as quickly as you might want them to get done, because the whole day is spent resting. But it has been wonderful. It has been wonderful. In fact, if we ever have to change the Sabbath, like let's say we're going to go on vacation and we're going to leave on Sunday, well, then we're going to need Saturday to pack and to prepare for vacation. And so we'll tell our kids, okay, listen, I know we usually Sabbath on Saturday, but we're going on vacation this week. So basically all next week is Sabbath. We're not going to do any chores. Right. We're going to rest. And they will just grumble, no, it's this
Sabbath week.
Yes.
Or the Sabbath month.
No, Saturday's the Sabbath. We're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. You're not supposed to give us chores on the Sabbath. So.
I see why they like it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you said, though, that it's less stressful. Like your life is less stressful because of the Sabbath. And I agree with that. All week long, we're working, trying to be, productive and efficient and just responsible as parents and as, workers and, in the church and in your accounting. But what you would think is, hey, if you take a whole day and you say, I'm not going to be productive, you would think that it would make the rest of your life
That's
more
what I was going to ask.
But it doesn't.
Really?
It doesn't. Because if we had 10 days in a week or we had 40 hours in a day, we'd fill them up.
Yeah.
We would fill them up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that by taking this off, like now you're busy. No, you're already busy. You're already busy. So you take the day off because you say, hey, I don't have to do this. I don't have to be busy all the time. That stuff can wait. Yeah,
because I don't believe I'm a 1 on the Enneagram, but what you were talking about, the productive thing, I resonate with that, and that's where my mind was like, man, I'm going to be extra productive on those 6 days to get there, and you kind of started from this point of very kind of lax approach to it, and that's relatively speaking, because I know some of us probably have seen examples of those who take it very strict, lay by storing the food for Saturday or for the Sabbath and all of that. But you guys are a little more lenient on it, and I do like that approach, especially because like you, I grew up, the Sabbath was a Old Testament law and Jesus did away with it, or was never reinstituted, one or the other. And that's why we don't observe it now. And just, recently I've grown kind of a little bit of a passive appreciation for it, and in a kind of a different route. But I think it goes back, and I think that's the important part, because that's where I see, that's what's turned me off to the very hardcore Sabbath thing is, when you look at if you're not doing the Sabbath right, it's like, you start looking down on those who worship on Sunday, or that's where I start to draw the line, because, and I think it's important to go back, and you alluded to it, what did Jesus say about the Sabbath? Is it better to do good on the Sabbath? And and all of this is good, is what you guys are talking about, and I love that. And like I said, it's something I've grown appreciative of too, is understanding that rest, understanding that, because it points back to God and creation, taking a rest, and we've talked about growing a closer relationship with God, and we talk about mimicking Christ and all of that. I think this is a step towards it.
Yeah, I would say it's really important to remember that doing the Sabbath is not selfish. And so you can't be selfish about the Sabbath even. So like a while back, we had an event at church where there was an opportunity to work on this community member's house.
I remember that.
You remember this? It was on a Saturday.
That poor lady. I feel like she was much better off before we got there.
It was on a Saturday, though. It was on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
We went.
I didn't even think
Why?
about that.
Because we're not supposed to be selfish on the Saturday. Like, we still recognize we're a part of a community as a family, but also we're in a bigger community of the church and a city even that God has placed us in for a reason. And so when we have the opportunity to do good for someone, we're not going to say no because this is our time on the Sabbath. No, that's selfish, right?
Right.
The Sabbath is not about selfishness.
Well, that goes exactly to what, and I was sorry, I was trying to find it, but that's what, correct me if I'm wrong, that he does, Jesus himself says it's better to do good
absolutely.
on the Sabbath.
Yeah,
because that's in refute to, I think the Pharisees were condemning him for healing
somebody on the Sabbath. Yeah. And he says that he's Lord of the Sabbath and that the Sabbath was that we weren't made for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was made for us.
Right.
Like we weren't made because God had this command of Sabbath. And it's like, well, now we need people to honor and observe the Sabbath. No, here's people that God wants to bless.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he gives the Sabbath to us as a blessing.
Yeah. And that speaks to like an overarching, I know we're talking specifically about the Sabbath, but it speaks to an overarching point of doing something out of a command, out of an obligation versus doing something out of genuine wanting to grow closer. Worship is something that gets left out of the Sabbath, and that's a big part of it.
Yes.
It's not just about rest. That's a big part of it, but it's also about worship and reflection, meditation, something that you've been big on too. But that mentality can be applied across the board. Am I doing this out of an obligation and a command? Am I tithing because I have an obligation, or am I loving my neighbor out of obligation?
Yeah.
Is it that, or is it genuine, authentic?
Yes, and I love the picture that Abraham Heschel paints about the Sabbath being like a little slice of heaven each week. In fact, in Jewish tradition, they're not allowed to mourn on the Sabbath. So if you are mourning,
turn it off.
You turn it off. You literally think only happy thoughts. You are not allowed to pray for other people on the Sabbath.
Really?
No, it's just a day of thanksgiving. You don't. It's not an obligation on the Sabbath to pray for other people. In fact, there's not supposed to be any arguing on the Sabbath, and so we use that a lot with our kids.
And all the nine said amen.
I know, right? It's so great.
I said, listen, there was an argument that sprung up this last Saturday. I said, this is important. We will talk about it tomorrow, but today we're not doing this.
That gives
today.
me 24 hours to come up with all my arguments.
Yeah, and you talked about worship. I think actually that's probably the area that our family needs to grow most in observing the Sabbath. Go back to John Mark Comer, which is one of my favorites. He says there's 4 movements to the Sabbath. There's stop, like stop being productive, rest, because rest is so important for our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And then the third one is delight, like really delight in the gifts that God has given us. Enjoy what you want to, like that's why I read a book, because I love to read and I don't often get a chance to just sit down and read. And so delight in the gifts that God given us. And then the fourth one's worship. Like turn that delight towards the giver of all good gifts. And so all 4 of those movements are important: stop, rest, delight, and worship. And that's probably where our biggest growth area is to, we do spend some time with God, but that's been more individual. And I do think as we think about the future of the Sabbath for our family, thinking about a communal way for us as a family to turn that delight back into worship would be our probably next stage of growth for our Sabbath.
Well, and you were talking about, okay. So I want to hit on the delight. and walking in nature and sorry, and there was one more thing. Oh, creation. So I'm going to hit on all three of those. Years ago, we had gotten into a habit of on Sundays after church, like we'd go get lunch and we'd come home and we would watch what?
Just to that point, real quick. I'm so sorry. I just want to say this because even if, because I have started to be a little intentional about the Sabbath, no matter how much I rest, there's something about Sunday afternoon after lunch where you're still wanting to say, like, I'm just want to do nothing but lay still forever. I don't know what it is. If it's old habits, I'm still breaking. Anyway, I'm sorry. I thought that's where you were going, but
No.
I'm sorry.
But we had gotten into a habit of like we would come home and we would watch like Planet Earth or Blue Planet or something on the Discovery Channel. And there was one Sunday that I looked at him and I went, is this what God did on the seventh day? He just watched.
Listen to David Attenborough.
Like, yeah, he had him. Yeah, he had him and just hosting and whatever. But like, he just enjoyed his creation and just took a nap. Is that what the seventh day looked like? Because in my mind, that's what it was enjoy the creation and take a nap.
I love it.
Well, and I'm sorry, I thought you were going a different direction, but to my point, like, I guess that maybe speaks to like, just because you take that rest, that doesn't make everything magically easier. Because, like I said, Sunday afternoons, I don't know what it is. Like, I'm just, my whole mind is done. But there was, I found that very fascinating what you talked about when the author of this was saying prayer, but it seemed like it sounded like it was like you're not praying maybe for somebody, you're not praying for God to act maybe, but there's still that Thanksgiving side of it. And I think that when we hear worship entails so much. I think maybe some of us in our culture might instantly go to singing and church worship, but it's like Thanksgiving is such a big part of worship. I think at its very core of worship.
For sure. My family is not going to sit around and sing together. The four of us. That's not going to happen.
It's not our family.
No. Yeah, but to sit around and have a conversation about what we're thankful for and what we love God for, and the ways that God is blessing our life right now, and like just turning that attention back to God. That's something we can do.
Yeah.
And that's worship.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like you think of Thanksgiving, there's no qualms over Thanksgiving. Everybody can recognize how good Thanksgiving as a holiday is and the benefit of it. But imagine having that every week and how much good that can do for you.
Yeah.
Maybe not that much turkey and starch and stuff and carbs, but every week, but that much Thanksgiving for sure.
Yeah. And I do, back to that idea of it being something that causes or gives you less stress in your life when you think that you would be losing a day. To that, I would say anybody that's skeptical of that, I would say try that.
Yeah.
Just try it. It doesn't change your life all that much to lose a day of productivity a week. You think it would.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't, because you might get done with your, landscaping, a couple of weeks later than you normally would. Okay. Like in the whole scheme of things, it's not that big.
Well, and Saturday's usually the hottest day of the week, so it's probably good.
Yeah.
I have seen. I think you mentioned going out to eat on the Sabbath? Yeah. So that's one thing that I've seen others take very serious as far as they're observing the Sabbath, and the whole idea of lay by and storing your food and whatever is. Am I causing others to work on the Sabbath? So, but that's another one of those more lax, not trying to degrade any y'all's approach or anything, but that seems like something that. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
So I would love it if we could not go out to eat on the Sabbath because everybody was enjoying the gift of the Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's just not the case, and so I recognize maybe the inconsistency in it, and maybe even I'm a little bit personally uncomfortable with the inconsistency of it. we have taken this very pragmatic, and again, maybe it's something that we should reconsider, but this very pragmatic approach of the restaurants are open. These people are going to be working. Like there's nothing that we're going to do to change that.
Yeah.
And so we could be, kind of not subversive, but we could be like, we could just resist that by not going to eat. But practically speaking, that's not going to change anything.
And I don't know that it's that inconsistent, because I'm with you. The pragmatic part, it's there, but your approach is still there. Thanksgiving and worship, you're still doing that.
Sure.
I mean, it's, and maybe I'm stretching here, but it's one thing to like seal yourself off and worship and be thankful, rather than, hey, you can be out in the world and still resting and still worshiping and being thankful, because that I know, I keep saying worship, but that notion of worship of no arguing, we're being thankful, we're enjoying this day and being that intentional about it. Surely that comes off to others.
Yeah. Yes. I still feel a little bit of that, is that justification. Am I just justifying the fact that I want to go out to eat? And,
Well, I think it comes back to, because I get where you're coming from, like the justifying and whatever. But I still come back to Jesus's words: "Is it better to do good?" And I think that's probably the measure of whatever you're doing in this context is it good? In this situation, it's not bad. I don't think so, but
I don't know. I think, like what you're saying, if I thought that our community was trying to Sabbath and I was hindering them by going and eating at a restaurant, then I think that would be wrong.
Yeah.
There was a time when the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday didn't start until 6 a.m. Well, then there was one year that all the stores decided to be open on Thanksgiving. And I was like, we can't support this. We can't do this. And I know I'm only one person, but I know that most people in our nation are trying to celebrate Thanksgiving on Thursday. And so we should not shop on. I felt very strongly about that. But I think the Sabbath is different. I don't think our society at large is practicing the Sabbath, and I don't think that we are keeping anyone from Sabbathing by going out to eat.
And I commend the people. I really do. I commend the people that are like, no, like I want everyone to know the joy of the Sabbath, and so I'm not going to participate in it.
It's still.
I see it as an opportunity for y'all to bless other people outside of your home, like, because you are spending time together as a family, but you never know, that waitress might be having a bad day, and then I know that y'all are really sweet.
And you just made it worse by bringing your big family.
But I think that's also I don't know. I feel like going out to eat is such a good opportunity to show your kids, my dad always tips way too nice. And so my brothers and we always tip way too nice, because that's how our dad always did it. And so I feel like that's just a really good opportunity to bless somebody else. Mm-hmm. So that's just my thought.
And I keep coming back to this. I'm with you. I commend those people that are, very, I want to say hardcore. I don't want that to sound bad, but very, very, extremely intentional about. But even if, whatever degree, the key is the motivation. Am I doing this? Yeah. Am I doing this out of obligation? And to feel like I don't want wrath on me, or am I doing this out of honor and love and commitment? And and that's, I think, with God at the focus, that relationship, it always comes back to relationship with God, no matter to what extreme or level you're doing it. And that's what, because like I said, I've listened to others go on and be just focused on these do's and don'ts of the Sabbath and why you don't and why you do. But you guys lead from a place of honoring and worshiping God. usually that's gets left at the end. Oh yeah, and you worship. You don't do this, you don't do that, but oh yeah, and you worship. But no, but that's your starting point. And how do we frame our one day from sundown to sundown out of the week around honoring and worshiping and worshiping in a way of thankfulness, and I think that's commendable. And that's, like I said, it's I've grown more attuned to it, and with you guys setting an example from a heart standpoint of a approach from genuineness has meant a lot to me as well.
Well, I think the journey that we've experienced has been to go from what Lauren talked about of just the Sabbath was something that Israel did, and we don't have to do it anymore. To then we said, oh, we could do this. It's a gift a good gift that God has given us, and we can choose to partake in it or not. To now, it's almost wisdom, like it's like God's wisdom. That is that's what I view it. It's not just the goodness of God; it is the wisdom of God to say, "Here's this gift of the Sabbath." Because now that we're trying to practice it and experiencing the blessing from it, we recognize that it's not just this nice thing that you can or cannot do. It is actually a pathway towards the abundant life that God has for us in Christ. And so it goes beyond just being a gift that we can receive or not.
Yeah.
It is like, hey, this is the wisdom of God handed to you, and say, hey, partake in this.
Yeah. It's made for you. Like you referenced earlier, it's made for you.
Yeah.
And that's the key, and that's really what connected with me as far as how to approach it. I wasn't created, like you were just talking about, I wasn't created for the Sabbath. The Sabbath was created for me as a gift.
Yeah.
And calling it a gift really brings it home.
Yeah. And God knows us. He knows what we need. He knows what's good for our
Better than we
body.
do.
He knows what's good for our soul. And he's like, here you go.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, it's very prideful. Most of my life, I acted in a very prideful and arrogant way towards the Sabbath. I don't need this. Think about what I'm telling God in that moment.
Yeah.
You made me.
Yeah.
You know what's best for me. You've given me this, and I'm saying, nah, I don't need it. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's so arrogant and also ignorant.
Or I don't have time for that.
Or I don't have time for that.
Yes. And I think you touched on this earlier. Just my personality being so productive, it is this wonderful permission to stop and to not feel guilty. And it did at first. I did feel a lot of guilt. I felt a lot of guilt. Even when I meditate for 20 minutes, I feel guilt sitting still. Yeah. Like I should be doing something. I should be doing the laundry. I should be, clocking those billable hours or whatever it is I should be doing. And God's giving me permission. No,
you're wasting your life
you're
away.
wasting.
What are you doing?
You're being lazy.
Get it together.
But God's saying, no, I give you permission to stop. I give you permission to rest.
And I don't think it's any coincidence that the law at first, right, the commandment was given to a people that had just been pulled out of slavery. Like you've been living in a world where every day you have to get up and your value is how many bricks can I make for this empire? And he rescues them, and he's teaching them how to live free. Like for the first time ever, their whole life they've been in slavery. He's teaching them how to live free. And one of the laws is, hey, for one day you don't have to do anything. You can't do anything. You can't. And I think it's that. How do you? It's God teaching them how to live free, be free.
Is that the reason why, like he said, you can't, because that would have just blown their mindset up of like, hey, by the way, you get the day off on.
Can you imagine how they felt?
Like that would have been like, no, we don't get that. And so he said, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And so is that the reason why, like he made it a command, not just a suggestion?
I certainly don't think that it's because of any sort of like he needs the honor of that. Like you need to obey me. It very much is hey, this is for your benefit.
Right.
And also, I do think he knows that if left to our own devices, we're probably not going to choose
Right.
that.
And what is it about humans that there's no command to be like, you need to work more, guys? Like, y'all are lazing around too much. Like, I mean, of course, I'm sure you can think of somebody who's doing that, but most human beings are out there 7 days a week, whether they're working or doing chores. They're doing something productive 7 days a week, most people. Why? Why do we feel that need to do that?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I don't think that every culture in the world experiences that to the same degree.
That's
I
probably
do think
true.
America probably more so. This like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. American dream. Like if you work hard enough, you can achieve all that there is to achieve. And so I think that some of that is just cultural. But you use that idea of like you're lazy if you stand around. I read something that really resonated with me that actually choosing to be busy, choosing to let the world dictate how busy you are is actually laziness of spirit.
Mm.
That because it takes intentionality for you to say no. It takes intentionality for you to say, I'm going to choose a priority. I'm going to choose what's most important, what's most meaningful, what's going to have the most impact on my life. That takes intentionality. That takes discernment. That takes spiritual work to be able to do that. It's a laziness of spirit to just say, I'm going to say yes to everything that comes my way and until I don't have time anymore.
Right.
So.
Well, and back to your question of why, I think that social media plays a big part in it because we see, the mom on Instagram who is like hitting all of her work goals, but also her house is perfect. And also she cooked this, homegrown, all organic, made from scratch
Yes.
meal, and, it's like, and it's like, I'm not doing any of that. I need to do all of that. And so it's like we try to cram so much into every little nook and cranny. And if our life doesn't look like the perfect Instagram, then, well, we're failing.
Yes.
Yeah,
sure.
Busyness is a badge of honor in our world today.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, I didn't do much today, most people are going to react with, what's wrong with you?
Right.
What's your problem, man?
Well, so my dad, he is just he's a CPA, so and he loves what he does, and so he is always working, and he doesn't actually like sleep at night. He just like takes little cat naps all throughout the day, and he just works as much because he loves what he does. But also he always feels like, well, I can't stop. He's been working since he was 11.
Mm-hmm.
So like he can't stop. Well, a few years ago he had a really bad health scare and he was out of work for 3 weeks and he went, you know what happened? The world kept turning. I had no idea that he said I was forced to rest for 3 weeks. And he was like, I didn't know that I could. He said, I thought that the world would stop if I stopped working. And so it's crazy. And I'm still trying to convince him to do that whole rest thing, but
So I'm convinced anyway, and hear me out on this, because when you say Sabbath, when I think of Sabbath, at least how Scripture describes it, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. And I know we've already talked ad nauseum about command versus, or obligation, and command versus out of a genuine spirit. I have heard others refer to Sabbath on Sunday. And I don't agree. I mean, it's Sabbath as we know it and as it's referred to. I'm not trying to be just a stick in the mud or a stickler here, but I think of it as sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. Do you see any issues with, maybe applying it to Sunday? If someone it does think of it as a Sunday, but still carries out the similar, doing it on a Sunday, is that?
No, that is,
or any other day, really,
antithetical to my view of God as I know Him.
Right.
I think the Sabbath is a gift. I think rest is a gift. And I think there are people, it is a privilege. It is a privilege if you have a Saturday that you're free.
Yeah.
Most people that work a 9-to-5 career have Saturday off, but not everybody is afforded that. And so
if someone were to do it on a Monday,
absolutely,
is their heart still there?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you do it in the best way that you can do it, in the best time that you and your family or your community can do it. And so I think there's all sorts of freedom in most of the practices of the Christian life. There's all sorts of freedom, and so I think doing it when you find the time is great.
Well, we used to do it on Sunday, but guess who works on Sunday? This guy over here. So really, it was great for me. Not so great for Matthew, because his first half of the day, he worked all day, not very restful, also couldn't sleep in. So we were only kind of half doing it. And once we kind of realized, okay, this is not really working for us, then you pivot, you try something different. And then we moved to Saturday, and that has been the best for our family.
Well, and I bet as a preacher, having that coming off that Sabbath day, man, I bet that puts you in a really strong mind frame.
Yeah, it does. It does. I will say that the last silent retreat that I went on, I realized that Saturday, we did a silent retreat. A very small group of us did it on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We did 2 days of silence. And on the Saturday, when I woke up, I immediately felt anxiety. And I realized for the first time that Saturday was my most anxious day of the week because I right off the bat begin to think about Sunday. Yeah. I'm 1 day away now from Sunday, and I start to think about all the things that I need to do on Sunday. Yeah. So that has been a recent. That was what, 6 months ago probably that we did that. So that's been a recent realization that I have an inherent anxiety when I wake up on Saturday, just because I know that tomorrow is a day
game
when
day.
It's game day. Yeah. No, but I mean, really, like, it's not a worry or a fear as much as it is just do I have everything ready for tomorrow? Am I ready for tomorrow? Am I in this? So I've had to do some work of trying to release that on Saturdays.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to Sabbath on a day you're working, right?
So I've got to disconnect my mind. I mean, really, it's a disconnection of my mind.
I did want to point out too, and I'm going off some of my older notes here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the 10 Commandments, I'm not going to go on my whole diatribe with the 10 Commandments or the 10 verses.
Thank you.
Which, thank you, Bible Project, for finally covering that. But I find it fascinating in that chapter where it's laid out, those 10 words, and, how we don't even agree on the order all the time, or even the number or whatever. So I've got in my notes here 3 different ways that it's ordered or structured, and whichever way you take it as far as the Sabbath and how it falls in the 10 Commandments, it comes between don't take the name of the Lord in vain, honor your father and mother. Also comes in between don't take the Lord's name in vain, honor your mother, and then the other one is, I lost it. Where'd it go? Okay. Don't swear falsely. Remember the Sabbath. Honor father and mother. It's right there in between honor. And it's one thing, I'm not going to get on the diatribe, but one thing that I find fascinating about how you view the 10 Commandments. I think when I read it, I am the Lord your God, I see that as the first. We don't look at that as a command. Is not as we understand a command, but I think that's part of the I am the Lord your God.
In Hebrew, that's the first one.
Yeah.
And there is no command. It is just that.
Yeah. I am that's first verse or word. Yeah. I am the Lord your God. When you come in from that kind of standpoint, and then you look at the structure, and I've also seen that's just going from our modern day structure. I've heard theories of where the tablet's front and back, and if that case, 3 syncs up with 6 or 7, whatever. When you start restructuring them like that, it really paints a different kind of picture. But to be kind of placed in there between honor the Lord's name, honor your father and mother. Right in between that's rest. This honor, it's part of honoring God in a way. It plays off of that.
I've also seen it, people talk about how it seems like a bridge.
Mm.
It's a bridge from our relationship to God to our relationship to the rest of the world. Because obviously, starting at 5, it's all about how we relate to people. 1, 2, 3 are all about how we relate to God.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 acts as this bridge between how we relate to God and how we view God impacts how we view others. Also, what's interesting about the command to keep the Sabbath and honor the Sabbath, it's the most quoted command of any of the commands in the Old Testament. Over 100 times it's quoted in the Old Testament. That's more
just
than
the Old
any
Testament, because I could see it definitely in the New Testament.
Yeah, no, it's in the Old
quoted quite a
Testament.
bit. Yeah.
It's the most quoted of the 10 Commandments in the Old Testament, which is interesting. I mean, just how critical that practice was for the people of Israel.
Well, and I mean, when you look at it in the context of the 10 Commandments, maybe it gets you to start looking at the other ones. Like, I am the Lord your God. Honor your father and mother, not covet, adultery, all that. Maybe it's a bridge there to take all the other ones. That's one thing too. In modern day, when we hear about the Sabbath and talk about the Sabbath, it's a standalone thing. It's taken out of its, even when Jesus is referring to it, it's taking on a standalone. They're going after him on that one thing, but at least in my experience, I don't hear a lot of people talk about it today in the context of the 10 Commandments. It's its own little thing. But anyway.
Okay, I'm just curious. As parents, like how do you fight it? Like when you're trying to Sabbath, but you do see the laundry and you see the dishes and you see, like when was the last time I mopped the floor, kind of thing. Like how do you shut that part of your brain off
without taking the Lord's name in vain?
Well, so in our family, we divide up chores. So we each are responsible for the different things. And so for me, I try really hard to get all of my chores done. And I even Friday late afternoon, we do like a quick, just straighten the house, because the house being chaotic makes me feel stressed. I like everything neat. And so, for me, it's the preparation. You do the best you can, and then if there's still stuff left over, you have to let it go.
That feels the intentionality too.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is.
In a good way. Not like I've got to do this or I'm going to get struck down. It's like, hey, this is very important, and let's prepare for it.
Yeah, I don't want the stress.
Yeah.
Of worrying about it. That. For me, Lauren does a better job than I do, and I have justified, putting dishes in the dishwasher, and I tell myself, in order for me to enjoy the rest of the Sabbath, I need to get these dishes in the dishwasher, and so I'll put them in there. And actually, Reese, our daughter, is really good about when she sees me doing that, she'll call me out.
Yeah.
She'll be like, "Dad, you are not supposed to be doing any work today. You need to stop putting the dishes in the dishwasher."
I was going to say, maybe it gets easier the more you do it, but especially early on, did you ever catch yourself like doing something? Oh no, it's the Sabbath.
Sure.
Oh,
You still do that?
Yeah.
Or,
I don't think I still do
I
that, but I used to justify, I'm just going to put one load of laundry on. I will feel better if I just do one load of laundry. And I've gotten, not that I'm being legalistic, but I really just want to enjoy the rest, because there's always going to be a chore you could do.
Yeah.
There's always some way that you could get a little bit ahead, and just letting go of that.
To that point and to that mentality, because I resonate with what you're talking about. It's like, if there's that one little thing and it's distracting me, is it not just better to go and do it, even though it's still the Sabbath? Just do it and get it done so I can get back to focus.
Yeah.
That's been my justification, and not to judge, that mindset.
It's not Sunday
yet.
It's
wrong.
Pace yourself.
I think it's wrong. I don't think it's sinful necessarily. I think it, it's not fully submitting or surrendering to the wisdom of God.
So just deal with it. That's what I hear you say.
Yeah, just ignore it. It's not
Just ignore
important.
it.
Yeah.
Usually our house is pretty trashed by the end of the Sabbath because we've all just been enjoying ourselves. We usually me and Reese love to do art projects, and so we've usually pulled out all the paints and there's stuff everywhere from some art project. But
Will's eating Doritos on the couch.
Yeah, there's
and,
crumbs.
There's crumbs.
That's got to be a freeing
So,
thing, though.
yeah.
It's like I can just make a mess, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. To me.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
We'll put it together, back together sometime.
Can we start Sabbathing, please? Please. I want to.
I'm not the one to ask. It's that little tornado in there that you need to ask.
She can make a mess better than anybody.
She doesn't know how to rest yet. We're trying to teach her that. I mean,
I would say you should test the wisdom of God. Like that to me, for anyone that is not Sabbathing and is hearing this and saying, that sounds nice, I'm just not sure that I could do it. I'm not sure that that there's enough capacity in my life, in my schedule to allow for that.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say is test the wisdom of God.
Mm.
Try it out and just see if God's wisdom is wiser than your own. And I trust that the Holy Spirit will show you that it is. It will be a blessing for you.
Yeah, and you probably going to have to sit down with your family and make some decisions about what are we going to say no to so that we can have some rest.
Yeah.
I after trying it for 5 years, I would say without any doubt, I don't ever want to go back. My family loves the Sabbath, and it has been a huge blessing to us in our life. I don't imagine ever not doing the Sabbath.
I can't imagine that either. And also, I would say 2 years into doing the Sabbath, I'm not sure that we felt that way. I'm not sure that we had.
Really?
Yeah. It took a long time for us to figure out how it was going to work best for us.
Yeah.
But we stayed committed to figuring it out. But it took a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we probably annually sit down and think, okay, how can we make some more adjustments so we can do this even better?
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to have to do that when our son's 15, he's about to get his license in, less than a year. I think at that point we'll have to talk again.
Yeah.
Like, how does that?
Well, that's going to be challenging too. Now that he's got
That's
he's
right.
got freedom.
He's got his own car. He's got his own. We don't want to. I don't want for him to feel like I can't go do anything on Saturdays because our family Sabbaths. I don't. That's a weekend day. I mean, so we'll have to reevaluate then too. What does it look like when one of the four of us has a pretty significant change to his life by getting a
He has a flat tire out on the middle of the highway. You have to wait till sundown.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Isn't that the equivalent of pulling the donkey out of the ditch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. You just called your kid a donkey, but anyway, no. Actually, Lacey, we kid and we joke about having a 3-year-old, and she really dictates a lot. Especially, she never sits still ever.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's like we can use that as justification because as to not do it or a reason to put it off until maybe she gets older or whatever. But you're always, like you're describing, you're in a different phase. Your kid's about to start driving, and you're always going to have to start making adjustments to it. One thing that I have found ways of relaxing while also keeping her busy and occupied. Like friends at church, Summer and BJ, gifted us their old blow-up water slide. And man, that's been a game changer. If anything, just wearing her down for nap time. But also I can blow it up. I can go outside and just sit and enjoy the day. And she's just having the time of her life. You find ways to do that are a little, as much as I'd love to just sleep till, however long, but if it means getting up and just going outside, you still find ways to be intentional about resting and Thanksgiving. That's a key part that I don't want to miss.
Delighting in this, like delighting in, her age and her energy and, the fun that she is right now, delighting in that. But also I do think it does take creativity. I mean, in no matter what stage it is, but especially when your kids are young, it's going to take creativity, and it's going to take conversation between the two of y'all, Ben and Lacey, to figure out like how are we going to help each other do this, right? Like, how are we going to help each other have rest? And that's going to be different when Gabby is this age,
Mhm.
when she's 12,
The whole method of tying a donut to a string in front of her, that got vetoed.
That got
So I had to
vetoed.
be creative and come up with
Yeah.
something else. But, well, I mean, I was trying to find a verse to kind of land on here. And, we hit some of the big on the nose ones as far as what Jesus says about the Sabbath, which I think are the most important. But some of the other things that we've talked about throughout this, not just the Sabbath specifically, but I wanted to kind of land maybe on some of Jesus' other words. And you did a incredible series on the Sermon on the Mount that was just chock full of really good stuff. And go into the Sermon on the Mount, this was Matthew 6. I think this kind of speaks to maybe an overarching theme of what we're getting at. I'll start verse 19 here. This is Matthew 6, 19. Is that 19? Yeah, 19. Do not store up yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in or steal. And because this is really where I wanted to land here. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And again, I'm coming in the middle. Y'all go read the full context. There's so much just loaded in those couple of chapters. But I think that whole point, where your treasures, where your treasures, there your heart, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I'm going blind, by the way. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I know he's speaking in the context of, wealth and all of that, but that whole point, I think, is one to carry with you, and it goes to the heart of the Sabbath. Whatever we're doing, it's not out of obligation, it's not out of a command or fear, or a fear maybe of respect, but just a relational, authentic, genuine love of God. And I think that's where we store our treasure up. And trying to land this plane, Matthew, you're the professional.
I think that's a great verse.
Yeah,
because to kind of cap this conversation.
I was a little nervous. I'm over here thinking he knows like 10 more better than.
No, that's a great one, because I heard a quote recently that said, we should attempt to live from our deepest desires, not our strongest momentary desires. And the Sabbath is an attempt to live from your deepest desire to enjoy creation, enjoy your life, delight in God, and to live free.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the things that prevent us from resting are usually those things that are just a strong momentary desire. But the call of God is to live from our deepest desire, which is to enjoy Him, enjoy His creation, enjoy one another.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a great verse to
that goes exactly back to what we talked about in the last episode, as far as, putting in that effort, that work, like meditation. Another thing, Lauren, that is near and dear to you is, it's not that instant gratification, it's not that like instant kick, but when you put in that effort, and maybe effort's not the best, when you put in that intentionality, it's almost more, you get back more. I love, Hebrews, where he talks about, the Hall of Fame of faith. They didn't receive what was promised. Mm-hmm. They received something better. Yeah. And that's just a wonderful thought. And, well, guys, thank you again so much. Yes. We've enjoyed it. And by the way, if any of you listening want to get in touch with Matthew and Lauren, y'all send us an email, comment, or, all of our contact information is in the description of the podcast. We'll get you in touch with them if you have any questions or anything like that. If you want to come worship with us, we think we have one of our ads or whatever running that, but just in case you don't get that, Palo Alto Church of Christ, Panama City, Florida. If you need information on how to find that, anyone can visit with us, let us know. Send us a message. We'll let you know, give you all the information you need. But again, thank you guys so much. This has been such a blessing.
Thank you.
And guys, thank you for listening and being part of our small group. And until next time, see you then.
The Small Group Podcast is a production of GB&L. Find all of our current and upcoming projects, as well as shop the GB&L store at goatbear.wordpress.com.